Oh, you're.
All right, we got just about everybody, Michael?
We got about 80%.
Okay. If I'm Roony Lee, and I'm awakened in the morning at 4:30 by gunfire, and I hear it coming from the direction of Beverly Ford, then I want to get as quickly as I can to the best ground that I can. So, and I want to do it in an absolute hurry, but my brigade is spread out. The 2nd North Carolina Cavalry is at Auburn. They're at Auburn, just north of Auburn. The 10th Virginia Cavalry Regiment is up on northern Fleetwood Hill. The 2nd North Carolina Cavalry Regiment, as I said, is at Auburn. The 13th Virginia Cavalry Regiment is on the other side of U Ridge, a couple miles. And with me in the yard at Farley is my old regiment, Roony Lee's old regiment, the 9th Virginia Cavalry, the Northern Neck Boys. These are from Essex County and Northumberland County and Lancaster County down on the Northern Neck. This is a very fine regiment here, the 9th Virginia Cavalry. This is Roony Lee's regiment.
You know why, don't you? The current commanders have graduated Dickinson College.
There you go.
Just like me.
A very distinguished college, Brian Pahankas College as well. So I want you to, first of all, look here, and very astute observers among you, meaning all of you, are going to tell me what that piece of bare ground is on the left. No, Buford's Knoll's right there. See that? What's this over here? Weren't you just walking there in the soybeans a few minutes ago? Right there. That right there is the right flank of the Federal position. So when I've got a battery there, and I got guns here on the other side of this hill, firing in that direction, and all that they can see is the smoke. Those guns right there have got to be pulled off. Those are Graham's guns. Got to be pulled off the hill. So right there. Now keep in mind again, folks, not a single tree can be seen anywhere in June of 1866. Got Buford, Knoll here. So now you got it. You look down in the bottom, the floodplain. That's the Hazel River that you see the tree line just beyond the floodplain. Now you might say to yourself, the Federals attacked in this direction, and you're looking at the line of the stone wall right here, all the way down. That stone wall, you can walk there today and track that stone wall all the way to the river. Right there, the tree line. Right in front of you. No, not here. Right in front of you. Tree line right in the bottom of the hill. Yes. Okay, everybody got the stone wall? Right here. So the way it goes is 2nd North Carolina Cavalry, 10th Virginia Cavalry, 13th Virginia Cavalry, 9th Virginia Cavalry. Now Roony Lee's most of the 9th Virginia Cavalry mounted because he wants to be able to put, this is his biggest regiment. He's got between 500 and 600 troopers in this regiment. And he leaves some of them mounted on that side. As you go down to the bottom of this hill, you're going to walk very quickly into the Hazel River. Now, could you imagine a better piece of ground to defend? Could you imagine? You've got a place for your dismounts. You've got places down here where you can hide the dismounts, the horses, so they're not going to get killed. The horses are down here in the bottom. 1 out of 4 men from each of those regiments is doing what?
Holding the horses.
Great! Holding the horses. 1 out of 4 men is out of action because they're holding the horses down here. This is also where the hospital will be. Philip Preston Johnston will fire from up here, and he will also go down here in the swale, and he will fire. This guy, if there was a Medal of Honor awarded in the Civil War, Philip Preston Johnston would have won the Medal of Honor. And his commander would have also won the Medal of Honor, Roony Lee. Let me tell you a little bit about Roony Lee. The second eldest son of Robert E. Lee, by no means a member of Mensa. He was not a Rhodes Scholar, okay? He did not want to go to West Point. His older brother, Custis, was the spitting image of his father, as far as being intellectual, a student. And Custis gone to West Point, and he was a star. Well, Roony was not anybody's idea of an academic star. However, his fathers do have some influence over their sons, and he gets him into Harvard. He goes to Harvard, and he becomes the president of the student body in his second year. He becomes the strokor on the famous Harvard 8. The strokor. He's the stud. He's the guy who's rowing the boat. Well, the finest boxer at Harvard, the finest boxer, we would call him the Golden Gloves champion at boxer, was Charles Mudge, Lieutenant Colonel, 2nd Mass Infantry. 2nd Mass Infantry, roommate of Roony Lee was Charles Mudge. Now you have the Harvard classmate fighting each other here. Do they know they're fighting each other? We don't have any indication they do. And we all know that Charles Mudge is one of the finest officers of the war and one of the very finest regiments of the war, the Harvard Regiment, the 2nd Mass Infantry. And he's got some 3 weeks to live because he's at Spangler Spring on the 2nd. He receives an order to charge. And as he charges, he says beforehand, "Men, the order is murder, but it is the order." He charges and he goes down, he's dead. That's Charles Mudge. Well, Roony Lee is still alive, very much alive here in June 9th of 1863. And he has never been given sufficient credit for what he does here, because he saves the Confederate bacon right here. Because he takes possession of this ground and he holds it. And he doesn't go after them. He waits for them to come to him, and he does material damage to the United States cavalry. Now, this must have bothered him a little bit, because through his glasses, he could look down here and he could see the orange piping of the United States cavalry. He could see the orange piping. Guess what he was before the war? He's a United States cavalry officer. He wore the orange piping. He's killing these boys right down here in this open ground. His friends, men he commanded. So this is Roony Lee. He does a wonderful job. The Federals, let me read a couple things to you here. I'm not going to read that to you after all. Here's what happens. Confederates are holding this position. The Federals are charging. They're losing their lives in that low ground down there on the other side. So what happens next is that Roony Lee is right here on this knoll. Von Bork, Major Eros von Borky, the Stuart staff will join here. Von Bork tells the story of the two of them laying down in the grass up here through their binoculars, steadying their field glasses, looking at the attack across here. All of a sudden, the striking sound of cannon from that direction, right precisely in that direction, Roony Lee will leap to his feet, Von Bork will leap to his feet, and Roony knows that he's got to get in that direction because something is going on. Cannon should not be firing from that direction. He's got enemy cavalry in front of him. He should not be firing from that direction. He's got no orders yet from General Stuart. General Stuart is from this point here. General Stuart is down here at St. James Church. General Stuart is about 2 miles from here. So Roony Lee does not have orders, but he picks up his command and he heads in the direction of fire. Now, as he leaves here, picks up his regiment, 2nd North Carolina, 10th Virginia, 13th Virginia, 9th Virginia Cavalry, he heads in that direction. His left now is completely up in the air. His left flank is up in the air because he's going that way. John Buford will come and he will swing around. He'll swing around and he'll put a regiment up here to hold the right flank as the rest of John Buford's reserve brigade plus the 8th Illinois Cavalry heads in that direction. So you've got the 2nd, 5th, United States Cavalry Regiment, 8th Illinois Cavalry Regiment, the 6th Pennsylvania Cavalry, they're headed in that direction. They're headed in that direction chasing Roony Lee. And Roony Lee will stop on the green farm. He will unlimber his artillery. He's now joined by the two-gun section that was at Freeman's Ford. He's now joined by that two-gun section of Breathitt's Battery. And he will unlimber up there, and they'll have a fight. Now, the next thing that happened, the 2nd United States Cavalry, commanded by Captain Wesley Merritt. Wesley Merritt is a good soldier. He's an aggressive soldier. He will see an officer of high rank, as he describes it. Wesley Merritt comes out of a ravine, and he goes into great detail to describe the ravine, and I can take you to the ravine today back here. He goes down into this ravine with the 2nd United States Cavalry. You know what that ravine is, don't you? That's Ruffin's Run. That's Ruffin's Run right back here. He goes down into the ravine, and they have a hard time getting out of the ravine because of the brush. He finally gets out of the ravine. He goes up to the green farm, and he sees this officer of high rank mounted on a big horse. I'll give you a clue as to who that might be. An officer of large size, of high rank, on a big horse. And he's just waiting for him. He looks at Roony Lee, and he's just waiting for him, looking at Wesley Merritt. Well, Wesley Merritt, very descriptively and very honestly, in his report, this is what he will say. I rode up to this officer at the point of my saber, and I demanded his surrender. Merritt says, his reply was more forcible than courteous, because he took his sword and he swung at Merritt's head, and he knocked his hand off, which gave Merritt an opportunity to get away from this officer who did refuse to surrender. But the Federals aggressively pushed, being John Buford's command, they aggressively pushed the Confederates. The Confederates would fall back again to northern Fleetwood Hill. Northern Fleetwood Hill, Roony Lee would array his brigades. Now, you're not looking at northern Fleetwood there. You're looking at the U Ridge. When he goes to northern Fleetwood, he will go to even higher ground. You see what I mean? Great ground, terrific ground, higher ground, outstanding ground there. Roony Lee just leapfrogs position to position. Now, I've always wanted to bring a tour group here and explain this because I get excited talking about it. And I've never brought a tour group here before. You're the first. Now, do we own this? No, we do not. This is an easement. Beauregard Farm owns all of this property. They graciously granted us an easement on this property, so we have that property over there we own. This property right here is protected in perpetuity. That means forever, because the Department of Historic Easement holds the easement. The Department of Historic Resources holds the easement. So, right here, we obviously assisted in that. The Civil War Trust, Sandra Stevens, obviously very much helped arrange this again. So, here we are. Now, this property is very valuable property to us, historically. Would we like to have other easements on Beauregard Farm? Yes, we would. Do we have good relations with Johanna Quant, the lady who owns this? Yes, we do. Not a lot of people know that we went to see her for a loan many years ago when we needed a couple of million to make a purchase, and she loaned us the money. And we paid her back. We went back to her for some more. She loaned us some more. Our credit is good with her. So, but this is owned by Beauregard Farm, Inc. The three principals are Mrs. Quant, who's approaching 90, and her two children. But it's a very productive farm, and we have good relations with them, and I asked them if I could bring this tour group on, and they quickly agreed. So we're grateful for their cooperation. Any questions about this before we head to St. James Church? You can understand what a really terrific position this is and how this could have been held all day. Yes, sir.
I was reading Hoskins' letter when he said that the 9th got off their horses and they hid behind stumps and were pot-shotting Yankees who were, also hiding. Where would that have occurred? I thought that was the very beginning of the battle.
Here's what happens when.
Hey, repeat the question.
Okay, You the Hoskins letter, John?
Yeah,
Okay.
with our great uncle.
At the beginning of the battle, the Federals got to the stone wall first. Roony Lee guy here. He orders his command to go forward and to take that stone wall. The Federals had another point of view about that. They wanted to keep the stone wall. But because of the support from these guns here, the Confederates were able to get the wall and hold the wall. And as they went down, there was man-to-man fighting at the wall, behind stumps. That's what he's talking about. Okay. So there was man-to-man fighting down there as troopers individually disputed control of the wall. The wall, there's an opening down here to the wall. But as I say, as it drops down, it goes right down to the reference run, and then it stops. And it continues here all the way down to the river. Now you might ask, why the Federals did not attack? They attacked here to our front. Why didn't they attack down there and try to turn the Confederate line? Try to turn the Confederate left flank? Again, these guns up here, if you come across that open field, which is much wider than that open field down here, 600 yards across, that is some 1,400 yards across. You're going to get eaten alive down there. So they purposefully chose not to attack across that open field, but right to the shortest distance is what they were looking at, so they attacked that stone wall. And you can visit that stone wall. You can come back anytime you want. Not here on this property, it's private property. But you can go over there, and you can walk down to the stone wall, and it's between you and the Copperheads for disputing the control of the wall.
Then you keep pointing at, that's the stone wall you keep pointing at there. So that's View Ridge and Fleetwood Hills that way, according to this map. Look at it. That map's not right?
There you are.
That stone ridge and down, that stone wall doesn't run that way. It runs that
Somebody
way.
want to take him aside? I'll put this map out to him. Yes, General Stewart.
When you spoke to us last.
Okay. Go off to the side here.
When you spoke to us last.
Okay, the question, General Stewart's got a question here.
You spoke to us last. We were down in this field and you pointed to that deer.
Yeah.
Can you show us where, I've lost sight of that. Where is the ford from here?
You see that open escarpment way back there?
Okay.
That's where you were standing a while ago on the federal right. The ford is just beyond that. You can line up the ford to answer Gerald's question. You can line up Beverly's Ford right there. Right there.
So it's beyond those trees?
Yes.
It's way over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Beverly's Ford from here. Okay, it's now, that's about 900 yards to my old reconnaissance point of view, about 900 yards. And the Beverly's Ford is on the other side of that, about another 800 yards. Okay, pleasure. But you can go down to the stone wall anytime you want. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Okay, questions here now.
What kind of horse must Roony Lee have had to have?
A big horse.
It sounds to me like he would have had to have a Percheron or a Belgian in order to hold him, but they can't run.
To answer your question, I don't know. It was described as a war steed, and that's good enough for me. Yes, sir.
Where's Buford Knoll from here?
You can see it right here. See it right across the tree, right on the other side of the stone wall.
Yeah,
You see it? Yeah. That's Buford's Knoll.
Way over there.
Yep.
Way out there.
You barely see it above.
Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
17th Pennsylvania, did they move over here after Roony
They did.
retreated
They
down?
did. They came over.
And they stayed here?
And then they stayed here. Yes, they did. They took no active part. The 17th Pennsylvania took no active part in the fight. Nor did the 6th New York, for that matter.
Now, you referred to the 2nd Massachusetts as Harvard
The Harvard
Regiment,
Regiment.
and I've also heard that the 20th...
It's also the Harvard Regiment.
So there were two Harvard
There were two Harvard
regiments.
Regiments. But the two regiments, the officers of the 2nd Mass were all Harvard regiments. The 20th was a little different.
Okay.
Okay, but both of them were extraordinarily fine regiments. I mean, if I got in the 20th Mass, if I've got Henry Livermore Abbott, and if I've got Greg knows all about. If I've got Wendell Holmes, you know, I've got some pretty fine officers, and Second Mass as well. These are Harvard guys. Yeah. And see how far we've come as a country. A Mississippi boy can say nice things about Harvard. Okay. Yes, sir.
Johnson's guns. You said there was
Johnson.
one here.
Johnson.
Where's the other two?
He's always got them together. His guns are always together. And keep in mind, this fellow is not a professional soldier. He's a volunteer that has taught himself artillery. And I've been to his home in Lexington, Kentucky after the war. I've met his family. And they're wonderful people. They're in the aristocratic horse community in Lexington, Kentucky. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, what we're going to do now, folks, what we're going to do now, I just want to make sure that you understand where you are. You're looking in the direction of Brandy Station down here, U Ridge over here. In this direction, Hazel River goes up on your right all the way. All this is battlefield. Everywhere you're looking, everywhere you are looking, men fought over, men contested, men died. And in a rearguard action, when soldiers are falling back under pressure, Confederates are falling back. They're fighting. They're fighting the Federals who are chasing them. And these are running deaths. A soldier would be shot and fall from his horse, like Isaac Ward, like any number of the Federals that fell dead, or the Confederates that fell dead. And where are they dead? Where they fell dead, they were buried. And don't believe for a minute that somebody came in after the war and dug them up and gave them a proper burial elsewhere. That didn't happen. I know for a fact. I know this battlefield better than anybody on the face of the earth.